Today I wanted to share my personal journey on how I started investing and how beginners can start too. Investing can seem very overwhelming, especially if you haven't received any education about it. But trust me, it's never too early or too late to start. And we all dream of retiring, right? Well, actually, retirement doesn't have to be so far away. And by planning your expenses and balancing your lifestyle, you can retire at any age. And that's why educating yourself about money is so important, and it can save you a ton of stress down the road. Hey there, welcome to Venture with Jazzy. On this channel, I talk about personal finance. If you like the video, please leave a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Investing has been such a game changer for me, and hopefully my story can inspire you to also start. But before we get into my personal experience, let's talk about why investing is so important. So if you remember, last June in 2022, the inflation rate went up to 9%. And an increase in inflation rate, it really affects us as the consumer, as that dollar we had to buy that McDonald's ice cream can no longer buy it. Or at least a lot of these stores have increased prices due to inflation. And so this is why we have to start thinking about different ways of how to make sure our money doesn't decrease in value. So imagine you spent years working and finally you're ready for retirement. But then you realize that your account value has decreased due to inflation. And that's why investing is a strategy that many take, so then they make sure that their money also can catch up with the inflation rate, or if not, beat it. And this is just one of the greatest ways to make sure that your money is secure for the future. So let's talk about my personal experience in investing. I have to owe my early start to my dad, as he opened up my investing accounts and basically managed the little money that I was making in college. And at this time, I wasn't really sure what he was doing, but I knew that I would eventually need to do it myself. And like many people, I was skeptical and hesitant about how investing works at the beginning, because I thought that investing was really only for geniuses or for the wealthy. And I even remember in high school, there was a kid who was 16 and he was putting his money into stocks, and that just blew my mind. But actually what prompted me to start and push myself to learn how to invest was after I met my husband, because he was already investing in stocks, and I thought, man, I really need to catch up with him. So to get started on my investing knowledge, I started to learn all of these terms that I felt were so overwhelming, such as 401k, Roth IRA, mutual fund. There were just so many terms that I felt I needed to learn them before I could continue. So I learned what these terms were, and then after that, I focused on what different accounts were about. And each account works differently, so I'll briefly explain the 4 main accounts that people get. So the first account is the emergency fund. So actually this account is not an investing account, because you don't want to put your money here into stocks, because in the time of an emergency, you might not be able to pull it out. So the emergency fund is exactly what it sounds like. It's the money used for those times of emergency. So people generally put 3 to 6 months worth of expenses into this account, just in case there's some sort of unplanned costs. And the money in this account should be going into something like a high yield savings account, so then you can get maybe up to 4% interest. The next account is a Roth IRA, and this is a retirement account where you can put your money into investments. And anyone who is making an income can open this account, and actually I would suggest if you are even 16 years old and you're starting to make an income, you should open a Roth IRA right now. So people can contribute up to $6,500 a year, or if you're over 50, $7,500 a year into these accounts, and then you can put your money into investments such as stocks or bonds or more. And the reason why Roth IRAs are wonderful is because you won't get taxed on any gains made in this account. Now, I don't know if you knew, but generally in any investment accounts, if you get any gains and you realize them, which means you sell your stocks at a gain, you will get taxed on these gains. And these taxes, they can get up to hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So this is a huge thing that you should be taking advantage of. The next type of account is a brokerage account. This account is a fancy word for a normal type of investment account. So you can put your money into here and buy, sell, hold, or sell different kinds of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and so on. Anyone can open these types of accounts, but I do have to say you should do your own research, because sometimes these accounts do have some fees or commissions to be aware of. I personally use Charles Schwab, but different people have different situations. And then the last account is the 401k, and this is also another type of retirement account, but you can only get this account if your employer offers it. And what's so great about this account is a lot of times employers do matching up to a certain percentage. So for example, your employer could do up to a certain percentage of matching your contributions. So for example, if you put $100, they will also put $100 into your retirement account, and that's like free money going into your retirement. So these were the 4 types of accounts that people generally get. So for the emergency fund, that's for your emergency expenses. And then you get the 401ks and Roth IRAs for your retirement. And finally, with all that extra money that you have at hand, you can put it into a brokerage account so then it doesn't sit there and it can grow. Now, of course, we got to talk about the risk factor, because this is what makes a lot of people scared to even start investing. So truthfully, I also had fear of risk, but I'll talk a little bit about what made me more comfortable with this entire idea. So to overcome the fear of risk, I started to invest in the SPY stock, and I used dollar cost averaging. This strategy is great for beginners because not only does it average out the losses and gains, but it also takes out the entire stress of investing, and you actually don't really need to look at your account really. So let's talk about it. Imagine there's a stock that is like a basket holding 500 of the top performing companies in the United States. So that is SPY, also known as the S&P 500 ETF. And this includes companies like Apple, Google, Coca-Cola, and more. So if one company goes down and the other comes up, then the SPY stock will basically average out the gains and losses. So it's not as volatile as, let's say, putting your money into one type of company's stock. And you can also take a look at the history of the S&P 500. And as you can see, over time, it has grew quite a lot. And even after those times of recession, the S&P 500 has bounced back, and over time, people have actually grown their money. So that was the SPY stock. Now let's talk about what dollar cost averaging is. So this approach involves a person putting their money at fixed intervals, the same amount of money over a long period of time. And the benefit of dollar cost averaging is that over time, it reduces investment risk and averages out the losses. And that's why this strategy is so great for beginners, because you don't need to pay attention to what your stocks are doing. Now let's talk about how much money should you be investing? Well, that all depends on you, as everyone's personal goals and their financial habits are all different. But let's go over some basics in a 3-step strategy. First, you should start a budget, because you should know what your general expenses are every month, how much you're spending on rent, food, and so on, and then you can divide and see how much leftover money you'll be having every month. Number 2 is prioritize your accounts. So you want to make sure you have money planned for that emergency fund, or if you have any planned expenses such as buying a house or a car, so you should also put that money aside, and then you can further see what leftover money you have. Number 3 is invest what's left. So with all that leftover money, you can choose to put some in a retirement account and then some in some regular investing accounts. So this will be your starting point in investing. And just remember that even if you invest a small amount of money, that really matters. So even if you only have $10 left over a month, if you invest that over time, it will grow. And later on, when your finances improve, you can choose to invest more. So that was my journey on how I got started in investing. And right now I've kind of moved past only putting my money into SPY. I'm trying to diversify my portfolio, and I'm really looking into what companies I'm investing in, whether they have good strategies, and if I support them. In the future, I am planning on making more videos about investing, maybe going into more depth about certain aspects of it. And also let me know if you have any questions or if I missed something in this video. Anyway, I hope this video inspired you on your investment journey, and please subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in another one. Bye-bye.